The first thing I noticed was the sound stopping, not silence exactly, more like a collective hesitation. 200 people mid-laugh, sip mid-sentence, all pausing at once. "You're suspended until you apologize to my ex." Husband's voice traveled easily through the ballroom. Confident, familiar, practiced. For a second, I thought he was joking. This was some awkward attempt at humor, a strange private reference made public by mistake. Then I saw her. Red dress, posture. A small, satisfied curve at the corner of her mouth. I felt heat rise from my chest to my face. It was physical, stepping too close to a fire. Champagne glasses hovered in the air. Someone coughed. A few phones tilted slightly upward. Heard myself say, "All right," not softly, not loudly, just neutrally, like I was confirming a meeting time. Later, in the elevator, I studied my reflection in the mirrored wall. My badge hung straight. My hair was still neat. Face looked calm in a way that felt dishonest. I replayed the moment over and over. The way he hadn't looked at me before speaking. The way he'd framed it as policy, not cruelty. Suspended. Apologize. My fault. That night I didn't sleep. I scrolled through old messages trying to locate the exact point where my marriage had shifted from partnership to performance. Hadn't been sudden. It had been small, letting her attend company dinners, laughing off her helpful suggestions, me stepping back from meetings so he could shine, me telling myself it was temporary. The next morning, my badge didn't open the staff entrance. I stood there longer than necessary, pretending to check my phone, until a junior resident awkwardly held the door for me. "Oh, Dr. Chen," I thought. "I'm on leave," I said. He nodded too quickly. At home, my husband paced. "What did you do to the system?" he demanded. I looked up from my coffee. "I haven't logged in. Surgeries are delayed. Schedules are locked. IT says your protocols are missing." "They're not missing," I said. "They're mine." Stared. I hadn't erased anything. I hadn't sabotaged anything. I had simply stopped maintaining it. For 7 years, had built workflows no one documented, emergency overrides, interdepartment bridges, quiet fixes at midnight, because it was easier, because patience came first, because I didn't want to be difficult. Suspension meant I was no longer authorized, so I stepped back, completely. The days that followed were strange. I woke up at my usual time, made coffee, sat at the table with nowhere to go. Without my badge, my pager, my rounds, I felt hollowed out. I kept reaching for things that weren't there. Purpose, momentum, proof. Part of me wanted to fight, to call the board, to explain. Another part was tired. Tired of explaining, tired of being reasonable, tired of being quietly reduced. On the third day, my phone rang. Unknown number, Dr. Chen. A shaky voice said, "This is Marisol from the COO's office." I sat straighter. "There's some confusion about your status," she continued. "The board would like to speak with you immediately." By afternoon, I was in a glass conference room overlooking the city. Husband wasn't there. Neither was his ex. Just 7 executives, folders open, faces tight. The CO cleared his throat. "We're not informed," he said carefully, "that you had been suspended." I waited. "Your system architecture is foundational," another board member added. "We underestimated that." I nodded once. "We'd like to reinstate you," the CO said, effective immediately, full authority, publicly, formally, documented. The next morning, back into the hospital, same halls, different feeling. People looked relieved to see me. Not impressed, not apologetic. Relieved. Turned to my office. Logged in. Restored access. Unlocked schedules. Within hours things stabilized. No announcement was made. None was needed. That evening my husband came home late. He stood in the doorway while I read. "They went over my head," he said. "Yes," I replied. He waited for more. "I didn't think it would." He stopped. "I didn't think it would go that far." I closed my book. "You suspended me," I said. "Publicly?" I was angry. I was humiliated. He looked down. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "No," I said. And I did. That was the problem. Weeks passed. At work, things were efficient again. People consulted me openly. My authority was no longer assumed, it was acknowledged. At home, things were quieter. We spoke. We were polite. We were careful. Something between us had cracked. Not dramatically, not loudly, but permanently. One evening after a long shift, I stood alone in the parking structure watching the city lights flicker. I thought about that moment at the summit, how easily I had said, "All right," not because I agreed, because I trusted myself to survive it. I still do. I'm still here, still steady, still capable. But now I no longer confuse endurance with loyalty, and I no longer mistake silence for peace.